You can hear it on the window. Soft rhythm, small rhythms, then a flood. Street lamps smear into each other. The whole world blurred, humming under its breath. This room's half shadow, half reflection. Bottles lined up like quiet witnesses. A slow drip from somewhere behind the counter syncs up with the drummer's tired little roll. Your drink curls smoke toward the ceiling, a thin gray line that can't stand straight. You tap the filter once, twice, tiny embers, pretending to be brave. You talk low, then lower words hanging crooked between us. Each exhale draws shapes in the dimness. They twist, lose their bodies, vanish in the hum. Thunder grumbles miles away, like someone arguing in the next building. It never gets closer, never fades, just circles, patient around the night. The trumpet player nods, eyes closed, lets one bent note drift toward the door. It wavers, changes its mind mid-air, lands in the corner, uncertain, unfinished. Out in the hallway, someone's leaving. Souls on old wood, slow and uneven. Heal, then pause, then toe, a stuttered rhythm. Secrets in their pockets. Each step grows softer, then sharper, as if they turn, then don't, then turn again. Their echo snakes under the doorway, thin as a question you don't want to ask. Your hand circles the rim of the tumbler, a low moan of glass against your skin. You watch the swirl, the amber orbit, tiny waves breaking against clear walls. You say you meant to be elsewhere. Your tongue tastes smoke and something sweet. Lightning flickers white on your knuckles. You tilt the glass, stop short of the brim. Piano lays down 3 notes, then waits, like it's listening for a confession. Bass keeps walking the same laces untied, humming under its breath. You look toward the doorway that never opens. Somebody laughs in the back once, then quits. Your cigarette burns down to a stubborn dot, a tiny red planet with nowhere to go. Another growl from the sky, low and sideways. The bulbs above us flicker. Consider surrender. A draft sneaks in under the frame, carrying damp pavement and distant tires. You draw one more breath, slow, deliberate. Hold it like a thought you'll never say. The smoke leaves anyway, indifferent, clinging to your sleeve, then forgetting your name. You came in with the weather on your shoulders, dripping stories on the floorboards, one word at a time. Neon from the window cut you in fragments, little moving silhouettes on bottles and old wood. You didn't hurry, you rarely do. You just breathed in the dimness like you'd been here for years. Outside, water chased itself down every hard surface. A slow private argument with the night inside was all clink and murmur. Low conversations curling around your profile, then losing their nerve. A jukebox in the corner stared with one dead eye, its only trick left, a faint mechanical hum. You asked for something strong and unremarkable, something no one would toast with or write down. The bartender didn't answer, just wiped a circle on the counter that wouldn't come clean, and slid you a decision in a small sweating glass. You touched it like it might confess if you were patient enough. You lit up slow, careful with the flame, like it was borrowed and had to be returned. First breath went sideways, soft cloud drifting over the varnish toward my side of the room. I watched it lean and loosen, stretching itself thin, fading into the ceiling fan like it had changed its mind. Somewhere beyond the brick, the sky was clearing its throat. A low warning in the distance, rolling over the rooftops. Each rumble showed up late like an uninvited guest, shaking dust from the rafters, rattling the bottles by name. You tilted your head to listen, eyes narrowed, almost smiling, as if the whole long growl was telling you a joke. Your reflection swam in every dark surface, a face cut in fragments by streaks and streetlight. You tap one finger near your own mouth, tracing a path in condensation that meant something only to you. It ran like all things do, following the quickest descent, seeking a quiet place no one would see. Down the narrow hallway behind the bar, a bulb flickered like it couldn't decide. Feet move moved, then paused, heel soft on worn boards, a slow, measured rhythm too careful to ignore. Someone stopped just out of sight, breathing close to the wall as if listening for a verdict that never arrived. Your smoke drew lines through the lamplight, crooked notes over a song that wasn't playing. You spoke without turning low, almost amused about a town that fills your lungs and never lets you finish. Each word drifted upward, caught then abandoned by the lazy ceiling blades, chasing their own tired circle. The room exhaled in unison, vent humming its tired lullaby, ice settling in the sink, soft clatter, small complaint. A match flared and vanished, leaving only that warm stripe behind my eyelids. When I dared to blink, thunder rolled again, farther this time or closer, hard to tell from in here. You traced the rim of your drink, slow, absent-minded, like you were testing the edge of a story you might tell. Your eyes followed a droplet sliding down the window like a person leaving without taking their name behind you. Those patient steps started up once more, turning the corner, then fading into carpet. You stood without warning, shadow stretching across the room, caught for a heartbeat inside the doorway light. You left a thin column of smoke where your shoulder had been, hanging there undecided between rising and folding. Outside, the storm cleared its throat again, long and low and distant. The door closed quietly and the hallway went still. A flickering beer sign hums above a rain-streaked window where a man in a wrinkled trench coat stirs a melting cube in his glass, his hat tipped low as a bartender polishes the same cloudy tumbler. And a stray match burns down beside an untouched pack of cigarettes. That street lamp outside throws a bent shadow across his shoulders. Coats on hooks lean crooked like tired witnesses. Ice clinks once, then settles against the side. The waitress balances a chip plate past a corner table where three empty chairs surround a fourth with a single lipstick print on a glass. A small black purse hanging open on the back of the chair, and a folded newspaper turned to the classifieds under a ring-shaped stain. Her order pad dangles from two fingers. One heel taps the scuffed floorboards out of time. The overhead fan turns slow, pushing smoke in loose circles. Near the door, a payphone hangs with its receiver turned sideways. The metal cord twisted tight around itself, while a matchbook wedge keeps the phone booth from closing Forgotten fedora slumps on the shelf above a scatter of nickels and dimes. Light from the street blurs through street glass. Rain writes diagonal lines over neon letters. Somewhere in the back, a key grates halfway in a lock. The hallway is cleaner than it ever was at 8 o'clock. I washed the glasses twice, traced every lipstick shadow with my thumb like I could press them back in a mouse. You left your scarf, folded itself over the chair somehow. It smells like the rain that never arrived. I put it on, then took it off, then hid it in the drawer. I keep the lamp too low so I can pretend this room has no corners, only this table and these two fingerprints in the ring of water. I told them I was tired, that my head hurt. It was the most acceptable version of the truth. They believed it quickly. There is a crack in the ceiling. I started counting from it, one breath, another. Then I forgot the number I was on and let it win. If I stop moving my hands, all the things I never did line up in front of me, patient, like they're waiting for their course. You asked me once what I wanted. I said something clever, it made you laugh. It cost me the real answer. The real answer is smaller than a whisper. It would have fit between your questions, maybe on that night when you stayed too long and left too early. The clock in the kitchen is loud from here. I never noticed before how it interrupts my thoughts, then walks away from them. I have rehearsed an apology that doesn't accuse anyone. It keeps changing shape every time I almost say it aloud. If you were here, I would sit on the other chair where the light doesn't reach my face and tell you I was braver on the nights you weren't looking. I would not touch your hand, that's the part that ruins everything. Skin remembers faster than the mind. It drags the story back to the start. They think I am careful, they think I am calm. They don't see the chip saucer I keep turned to the wall. I've broken nicer things than plates, promises mostly some mine, one or two that belong to you. There is a photograph in the drawer with the scarf, corners curled, color faded to almost nothing. Your eyes are looking past the camera. It's something I must have said. I wonder what it was to make you look that open, that unguarded, like you hadn't yet learned to look away first. I am not lonely, not in the way people mean. The room is full with chairs and shadows and what I nearly did. I am only quietly that you never heard what I almost confessed. Tonight I poured one drink too many, let it sit until the ice surrendered, watched it thin itself out on the table, felt something similar happen in my chest. I keep thinking I will change, that there will be a moment, some clear signal, a line crossed. Instead there is this small, careful staying exactly where I It starts with a streak on the window, little rivers bending street color, neon blurring into tired pavement. Nothing hurries out there tonight. Inside, one lonely rim of lipstick ringed on a forgotten tumbler. Bartender polishing the same spot like he's trying to erase a memory. Overhead a low growl, patience brewing, a distant rumble rolling on its side. Ceiling hums with it, lights shiver, bottles click together, nervous teeth at the end of the counter. Someone laughs once, too loud for the number of people here. Sound falls flat halfway to the jukebox, like it changed its mind mid-flight. You lift smoke to your mouth, slow halo, it curls, considers the ceiling, hangs between us, thin gray curtain, then drifts toward the exit signs, red blink. It tastes like someone else's evening, like trains leaving in the small hours, like names you never quite learn but still feel under your tongue. Down the hallway, soft in packs, measured tread on tired linoleum, each step lighter than the one before, fading into the hum of the ice machine. You tilt your head as if you know that rhythm, like it's a song you heard once, sung by a stranger facing a mirror, trying on a smile that doesn't belong. The trumpet leans in with a crooked line, not quite sad, not entirely sober. Notes slip between our sentences, eavesdropping, pretending not to listen. Your fingers toy with the paper edge, rolling, unrolling, folding corners, small, pointless, odd to texture for a place no one plans to stay. Outside the world blurs and runs, colors bleeding into darker seams. A siren stretches along the avenue, then thins to a thread behind the walls. And here the clock's second-hand limps, dragging its heel past every number. Time smells of citrus peel and old wood, and something you almost recognize. You say you came in to stay dry, but you keep watching the doorway, as if someone might still appear, shrugging off some kind of burden. Thunder rolls again, further this time, like it's losing interest in the city, leaving us with the low murmur of the fridge and the whisper of smoke above the bar. The hallway goes silent between footsteps, a pause long enough to change your mind about everything and nothing, depending how close you're listening. You take one last pull, slow exhale, draw shapes in the thinning cloud, let them slip toward the ceiling fan, where they break and don't become anything. fold it into my wallet between the receipts. Let it fade with the ink. You kept asking what was wrong. You counted my cigarettes. You traced circles on the table. You said my name like it might break. There's a room I never showed you, smaller than this one, colder. I live there more than I live anywhere. I told you I was tired. You believed me. You always believed the smallest excuse. You never pushed the heavy questions. Yeah. Sometimes I replay the moment, your hand reaching for mine, then stopping halfway like you met a closed door in the air. I watched your reflection in the window, you were watching mine, both of us pretending we were looking outside at nothing in particular. At nothing in particular. You asked if I loved you, I answered too quickly. Even I heard it, sharp, clean practice. There is someone I think of when your head is on my shoulder. Not better than you, just closer to what I pretend to be. I lied about where I was that weekend. I lied about the call I ignored. I lied when I said I was fine. I told the truth only when it hurt less. You once said secrets make people interesting. I nodded, thinking how heavy it felt to be so interesting to myself. If you were sitting across from me now, you'd stir your drink, say you understand. You always say you understand. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I am only trying to hear the sound of my own voice, telling it straight. Just once, in this quiet. Something taps the window in a tired rhythm. Streetlight smear running down the pane. Your reflection wobbles like you're already leaving me mid-sentence. A single drink sweating on the counter. Lipstick ring drifting toward the rim. Bartender polishing the same old story, not brave enough to speak your name. You cradle that cigarette, let the ember do the talking. Slow pull, slow spill, cloud curling around your mouth. Smell of burned paper and cheap perfume tries to cover the damp in the walls. You look at the door, not at me. Counting exits, not reasons to stay. Thunder rolls somewhere far beyond this room. Low growl under the piano, keys chiming like loose change. In the pocket of a stranger's coat, conversation hums in fragments. Fork to plate, glass to lip, small talk to lie. Someone laughs too loudly in the corner, pretends they're not alone tonight. Footsteps in the hallway, soft rubber on tile, a rhythm that never quite settles. Heel toe pause like they're listening in on us. The bulb above the bar flickers once, then decides against going dark. You trace a circle on the wooden surface, like you're drawing a map to somewhere you won't show me. Smoke rises, then forgets where to go, folds back into itself halfway to the ceiling. You follow it with your eyes, as if there's an answer written in the swirl. Outside, a siren winds through the streets, then thinks better of it, fading sideways. You tap ash into the waiting tray. Each little fall a quiet yes you never say aloud. Thunder grumbles again, closer or not, hard to tell in a room this small. Trumpet mutters in the corner, all mute and melancholy, too proud to weep. Your hand hovers near mine, close enough to feel the warmth, not the touch. You talk about the city, about traffic, about nothing. I listen for the line where you finally tell the truth. The hallway grows busier as evening thins. Doors open, close, open. Voices drift in, then vanish at the turn, like scenes from somebody else's story. Piano paints tiny shadows under every word. Bass walks in circles, pretending to leave. You stub out what's left of your habit. Look at the market leaves, not at me. A draft sneaks under the frame, turns the smoke toward the exit. Lamp behind the bar hums its own one-note lullaby. Your glass sits mostly untouched now, lines of condensation trailing down the side. You ask what time it is, I watch you not care about the answer. The hallway steps fade, then return, then fade. Same pattern, different shoes. Someone laughs just outside our door, cuts off mid-breath, swallowed by the turn. Thunder presses its thumb on the roof, lets it go just as gentle. You say you should be going, like you're asking permission from the weather. Piano falls silent, first keys cooling in the silence. Then brush on snare softens, like a heartbeat, learning discretion. Bass lingers on a low, tired note, vibrating through the floor into my ankles. You slide from the stool, smooth and slow. Your reflection smears beside you on the window. Footsteps again in that narrow corridor. Yours this time in one more set. Neither of you hurrying, just a pair of soft echoes finding distance. The door eases shut behind you, not a slam, not even a click. More like the sound of thunder, too far off to notice, until the room remembers how quiet it can be. Soft tapping on the window pane. Street lamps blur into into pale ribbons. One bartender polishing the same rim, clock humming louder than the crowd ever did. A single bottle catching the dim glow, condensation tracing crooked rivers. I stir what's left in my glass, listen to tiny storms run down the wall. Someone laughs in the next room, too quick, too bright for this place. A match flares, cuts a thin orange wound. I breathe in, let it sting my tongue. Smoke curls, writes names I won't read, hangs there undecided in front of my lips. A slow ribbon drifting sideways toward a corner no one watches. Thunder rolls somewhere past the rooftops, low and slow like a warning that forgot its words. The piano player counts silently, lips moving, hands resting just above the keys. He catches my eye, doesn't smile, lets one note fall and dissolve, like he dropped a secret by mistake and waited to see you heard. Footsteps slide down the hallway, heel then toe then pause, too measured to belong to a stranger, too late to be innocent. They stop just short of the doorway, breath lingers on the other side. Fingers brush the frame then disappear. The silence left behind sits beside me. Neon hums, tired, out of tune. Reflections bend in the warp pane. Outside, tires sigh through shallow rivers. Inside, the air tastes of old stories. My cigarette draws a thin white line, a quiet metronome between drags. Each exhale a small pale curtain, folding itself into the dim corners. A distant door closes once, then once more, like someone changed their mind mid-turn. The bass player leans into a dark phrase, lets it linger on the edge of wrong. Overhead, the storm circles the block again, close then far, then maybe somewhere else. Rain keeps sketching restless patterns on a room that pretends not to notice. Rain keeps tracing crooked lines down the window behind the bottles. Tiny rivers catching streetlight, breaking into nervous halos. A single drop stutters on the sill like it changed its mind halfway to the floor. The room hums low, ice turning lazy in abandoned drinks, mute shine on the counter where someone's hand used to be. You can hear the bartender breathing, counting tips by touch alone, turning bills into little green tents for ghosts that never leave. Cigarette smoke curls in slow question, rising, reaching, then forgetting what it wanted. It leans toward the ceiling fan, lets itself be edited, blurred at the edges, thin to a rumor. Out past the neon hum, thunder rolls in its sleep, speaks in a language the buildings pretend not to know. Each distant crack, a door slamming somewhere too far away to matter to anyone who's already staying. Footsteps in the hallway, soft, undecided, heel and toe, then nothing at all. Somebody stops right where the light gives up, keys balance in a palm like a question that never drops. The bartender just stacked the last glass. He thinks I'm waiting on someone. I let him think that it's kinder than the truth. Your chair is still turned this way, tiny scrape on the floorboards from the night you dragged it closer. Said you wanted to hear every word. I keep touching that mark with my shoe like it's a switch, like if I line my heel up perfectly, you might walk in already sorry. The ice in my drink stopped talking a while ago. It's just water now, tastes cleaner than it should, considering what I've said in this corner. You left your matchbook in my bag, same hotel on every page. You never stayed there. You just like the promise of clean sheets. I knew you were lying the first time you told me you hated secrets. Your hands trembled at the wrong moments, not when you talked about danger, only when you talked about staying. There's a coat hook by the door, bent a little downward. From all the weight it's held, yours always felt lighter, like you could leave at any second. like you to practice. I'm not angry, that surprised me. I thought anger would be louder, fill this room, shake the bottles, rattle the windows. It's smaller than that, more like forgetting where I parked, or realizing I left the stove on, and then remembering no one's home anyway. The piano player is pretending to organize his sheets. Every page is blank on the back. He keeps avoiding my eyes, afraid I'll ask for one more song about you, or worse, about me. If you came in now, I wouldn't stand up. I'd nod at the empty chair you'd sit. We'd talk about the weather, how the rain makes the alley shine, how the cab fares keep rising, how we're both so tired lately. There are things I could say, precise things, dates, times, motel colors. How your laugh died in stages. Instead I'm watching the door close that last inch. The lock turned from the other side, not quite a click, more like a sigh. Even the building has decided we're finished. A ceiling fan ticks above a tilted shade. His cigarette smoke curls through a narrow shaft of lamplight, cutting across a half-drained glass, and the red heel resting sideways on a chair rung. You lean on the bar edge, collar up, watching the bartender trace a circle on the counter with a damp rag and a tired wrist. The piano player squints at a torn chart, one hand hovering too long over the keys before dropping a soft wrong note that somehow stays. A match flares near the back booth, lighting a jawline, a scar, a pair of glasses folded beside an untouched drink. The door groans once, a draft stirs coasters and the corner newspaper, folding the headline over a blurred photograph and a time-stamped street address that a trumpet lets out a wavering phrase, hanging under the rusted exit sign where a moth taps itself against plastic. Your reflection twitches in the back bar mirror, sliced by the frame of an old photo of a team in striped uniforms and crooked smiles. A thin line of ash droops off the end of your smoke, drops to the checkerboard tiles and breaks apart in the crack between black and white squares. A ceiling fan turns over a single crooked blade of light on a bar mirror, warping one man's tilted hat and the empty stool beside him. Your cigarette leans on my ashtray, untouched, tracing a slow gray rope between the gin rings. Street lamp stripes crawl over the tablecloth, cutting your shadow into careful little pieces. Lipstick bruises the rim of your glass, one print facing the door like it's waiting to be claimed. Ice settles once then stills, holding the shape of your fingers in the cloudy mouth. A bartender polishes the same clean glass, watching the clock above the bottles breathe in jerks. Cards slap soft at the back booth, kings and queens folding under yellowed thumbs. A newspaper sleeps open on the next stool, headlines sagging into an unfinished crossword. Outside, rain writes crooked lines down the window, smearing the word vacancy into a trembling red blur. Your coat hangs from the chair, back one sleeve, brushing the floorboards with each passing footstep. A match flares near the door, carving a stranger's jawline out of the dark for half a blink. The bandstand waits with its music closed, trumpet on its side, bell aimed at the cracked ceiling. Somebody's key turns in the alley door, metal on metal, then stopping just before the latch gives way. I've practiced this conversation in my head for years, only you were kinder in the rehearsals. You didn't look at me like a stranger who knows too much. You didn't look tired in your soul. You always said I talk in circles when I'm nervous. I used to think that was charming. Now I hear myself and it sounds like someone begging, someone who hasn't realized the door is already shut. There's a mark on your wrist from that watch you never take off. You keep checking it like time might suddenly take your side. I'm not here to win anything back. I'm not here to make you promise something impossible. I'm just trying to tell the truth once without softening it to make you comfortable. You remember that winter when the heat broke and we slept in our coats. You laughed at your own breath, said we looked like we were rehearsing being ghosts. I think about that more than I should. The way you pulled the blankets over both of us, like you could cover every mistake in one gesture, like you believe warmth was a choice you could keep making. You asked me a long time ago what I was most afraid of. I said losing you because that sounded romantic. The real answer was uglier. I was afraid you would see me clearly and stay anyway. You always imagine yourself as the one who leaves, walking down some wet street, collar turned up, brave and broken. It never crossed your mind that you'll be the one who stays, sitting across from someone who finally admits the damage. I didn't mean to turn love into a room with no windows. I didn't mean to measure your every word, to weigh your silences like evidence, to confuse care with control. You said once that I looked different in the half-light, softer, quieter, almost kind. I've been chasing that version of me ever since. She only exists when you're too tired to argue. It's strange how honest we become when there's nothing left to protect, when even dignity feels like something extra, like jewelry you take off and forget. I won't ask you if you're happy, I wouldn't know what to do with the answer. I just needed you to hear me say I knew what I was doing. I hurt you on purpose because I was hurt and small. They talk about love like a rescue, but we both know it was more like a debt. You kept lending me kindness and I kept promising I'd pay you back. I don't think there's a version of us where we make it to the easy years. You were built for clearer skies, I was built for weather. You can go on telling people it just faded, that we grew apart like everyone does. I'll carry the sharper story folded up somewhere no one will ever see. Look at your hands, they're steady again. You don't even notice that you stopped reaching for me. This is the part in the old films where someone says something beautiful and broken, and the music swells just enough to save them. We don't get that, we just get these words spoken too quietly for anyone else to hear. Heavy enough that when you stand up, you'll walk a little slower to the door. You don't have to forgive me, you don't have to say you understand. Just take this truth with you. So I'm not the only one who knows who I really was with you. The ice has melted, I'm still holding the glass. Your coat is on my chair, like you meant to return. You would hate this quiet, the way it studies me, tracing fingerprints on I keep your lighter on the windowsill, as if it might explain why you stood up without looking back. I told you I was fine because you were already standing, because your keys were already in your hand. The clock on the wall doesn't match my pulse. One of them will give in eventually. I remember the way you watched the door more than you watched me, like you were reading subtitles on someone else's scene. There is a lipstick mark on your forgotten napkin, turned toward the table like a closed eyelid. You leaned in once, close enough to count the tiny white thread coming loose at your collar, and I thought, this is the only honest thing on you. I practice saying your name in a voice you never heard, quiet, steady, without reaching. If I speak too clear, the room might understand how little it would take to break me. The bartender wiped the counter right where your hand had been. No ceremony, just a circle and a clean slate. I keep meaning to drink what's in this glass, but it keeps becoming a question. There is nothing dramatic about one person leaving, a door opening, a chair shifting, air rushing into the space you kept for yourself. I am not angry, I am not surprised, I am just sitting here measuring the distance between what I wanted to say and what I let you hear. Outside, a car hesitates, then moves on. Someone makes a choice that isn't you, and I pretend that helps. I will let them turn off the sign when they are ready. I will stand up, smooth my dress, leave a tip too generous for a night this small. You will tell someone you were honest with me, and technically you were. I will go home, hang your shadow beside my coat, and see which one still fits. A single lamp draws a pale circle on the table. Catching dust that drifts above an overflowing ashtray into untouched glasses. Doors half closed, streetlight knife on the floorboards, coat on the chair, hat still damp at the brim, clock hand twitching near the chipped porcelain saucer, lipstick print clinging to the rim like a fingerprint. Smoke hangs crooked over yellowed matchbook covers, names in smeared ink curling at the edges. Ice sweat slow in a glass ring, dark on the linen, keys in a heap by the crack pocket mirror. Curtain breeze once when the hallway draft passes, footsteps pause at the peeling number on the frame. Beauty horn seeps in through the thin hotel wall, piano notes leaning on the same tired chord. Chair leg tilted, one shadow longer than the others. Cigarette ember stuttering near burned down fingers. Newspaper folded, on the headline no one finished. Photograph corner tucked deep in the crease. Outside a siren bends around the block and fades sideways. Streetcar wires hum over puddles catching window light. A single ceiling fan stirs a crooked stripe of yellow light across a half-empty bar. At closing time, lampshades tilt like tired hats over chipped mahogany. Two glasses sit sweating beside a pack of bent matches. A waitress pins her name tag back on her coat, buttoning it wrong. The bartender folds a bar towel into a neat wet square. Smoke hangs in slow layers above the lone jukebox. Its numbers have burned out. A man in a rumpled suit traces a circle in a ring of dust on the counter. Streetlight leaks through the warped glass, catching the silver in his watch band. A muted trumpet leans against a chair, bell fogged with fingerprints. The bass player packs his case, leaving one string still humming against the wood. A lipstick print dries on the rim of a glass, the color dark in the dim. A phone on the wall lists silent names beside a pad of untouched order slips. The door sighs on its hinges as someone steps out, leaving it almost not quite closed. Rain tracing lines down the back wall of this place, dripping into the rim of a forgotten drink. No one watching, only the barkeep polishing the same spot. Eyes on the doorway like something might change. It doesn't. You're late, or maybe you're early for leaving. Hard to tell with the clock turned away. Neon hum stuck in its own thought. I trace a ring on the table, cold beating under my thumb. That steady tap outside keeps its own rhythm. Doesn't listen. Smoke curls from my lips collapse, tries to write your name, breaks apart halfway up, gives up on the ceiling. The room tastes like old stories and cheap promises. My throat says one thing, my silence says two more, none of them kind. Thunder rolls somewhere out past the river, low, undecided, like it can't pick a street to rattle. I picture you walking through some lobby, collar turned up, laughing at a joke you didn't hear right, but you laughed anyway. A door opens just enough for night air to slip in, along with a shout from the sidewalk. Not you, just a stranger shaking off the weather. He studies the bottles like they hold answers, they don't look back. Footsteps in the hallway behind the jukebox, soft soles on old wood. Each one lands, then thinks twice. Slow, then slower, someone stops right at the bend, breath hanging on the turn. Piano hits a single note, lets it linger, sour and sweet. Like a memory mispronounced, the horn player yawns into metal, lets a bent tone wander, then lose itself. My finger follows a drip, sliding toward my sleeve, deciding where to fall. Smoke hangs between me and the bottles, a thin gray curtain that never quite closes. I draw a shape and it's something like your profile, but the lines won't stay, they sag, they smear. I breathe in, watch them abandon the idea. Outside, tires hiss through puddles, someone curses at a cab, voice swallowed by the storm. Inside, the barkeep kills the last bright bulb, leaves one tired halo above the counter. He doesn't rush me, doesn't ask why I'm still here. His rag moves in circles around a watermark that isn't going anywhere. Those footsteps start again, farther down that narrow passage. Wait, shifting, stopping, starting. A hinge complains under its breath and settles for staying closed. The jukebox clicks, changes its mind midway through a tune. The rain keeps talking to the brick, sentence, then sentence, never quite the same one twice. I taste the filter, bitter at the edges, watch the ember dim, bright and dim on each slow pull. Every exhale reaches toward the doorway like it expects a shape to fit inside it. Just a cloud, just a thin gray gas, stretching, thinning, until it forgets what it wanted. Thunder moves closer, then steps away again. A siren somewhere threads through the storm, blue and distant. The bass hums under my ribs, careful, unbothered. I tap along, then miss a beat. Let my hand fall still, listening for your step in every sound that isn't you. I thought I'd forget your number first. Instead it was your voice, it slipped out of my head one Tuesday and left the room much too quiet. You touched my wrist once, only once, said my name like you weren't sure it belonged to me. I pretended not to notice the way you looked away. I keep your lighter in a drawer, tucked under grocery lists and unpaid bills. Sometimes I strike it just to see if you still exist in that spark. You never liked photographs, said they froze people in the wrong moment. So I tried to memorize you instead. It turns out memory is worse. There was a night you waited on the sidewalk, said you were early, but I watched you from the window. You were rehearsing something, your hands kept folding into each other, then stopping. You once admitted you envied strangers, the ease with which they passed through a room, untouched by recognition. I wanted to tell you you were never invisible to me. I remember the way you leaned, not toward me, not away, just hovering, as if any decision would be too permanent. You laughed only with your eyes, your mouth barely moved, like joy was a secret you weren't sure I could keep. I failed you on that, didn't I? There is a corner table we used to choose, not for the view, just for the excuse to sit side by side, so the world had to stay in front of us. You asked me once what I would have been had we never met, and I lied, said the same. Truth is, I might have been lighter, or maybe I'm blaming you for a weight that was waiting anyway. Either way, you carried more of it than I ever admitted. I still hear your footsteps in certain hallways, even ones you've never walked down, as if the floorboards learned your rhythm and kept it out of habit. There are words I never used with you, ordinary ones like stay or enough or mine. They sit in my mouth, unspent currency. Sometimes the phone rings and I answer with that old version of my voice, the one you knew, low, cautious, trying not to sound hopeful. You're not on the other end, you haven't been for a long time, but I keep practicing losing you in smaller and smaller ways. If you were here, I wouldn't beg, I wouldn't explain, I'd just let you sit across from me in silence. You tap a rhythm on the tabletop, I'd pretend not to count along. In between those soft little patterns, I might finally say it. I wanted you, not the story around you, not the rescue, not the ruin, just the unremarkable days we never let ourselves have. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I don't think you did anything wrong, except leave me with too much honesty and nowhere to put it. So I'm setting it down here in this empty air, where even the walls are tired of listening, and you're safely out of reach.